Welcome back to Planet Doug Behind the Scenes again. It's behind the scenes for Monday, October 17th, 7:45 in the morning. That bell you're hearing is from the Sri Mariamman temple. And normally at this time I would be kind of lately recording a video journal talking about everything I did yesterday. But yesterday was a big technology day. I recorded like nearly a 2-hour video all about getting this, the enhanced Touch and Go card, and then installing the Touch and Go eWallet app on my phone and figuring all of that out. And I had the camera running all that time. So I recorded that in real time. So I don't need to go back and tell that story. Oh. Though the story is not quite over yet because I'm not entirely sure how the e-wallet works. What I realize now is that I didn't even need to get the e-wallet. All I wanted the card for was to go in and out of the MRT. And that was the only reason. All I wanted to do, I set out with my, rapid KL card, that you just use to ride on buses in the MRT. But mine was invalid because it's so old. I just wanted to get a new one. And it turns out I went through that very long and complicated process to get this enhanced new Touch and Go card. But it turns out that's all I needed. I could have just charged that up and used it, and I didn't even need the e-wallet. They work separately. I mean, if you have the card and the e-wallet, you can add your card to your e-wallet account, but there's no reason that you have to do that. You can keep them both. You can keep them both. Bit of road rage up there, or maybe they're friends. No, a little bit of anger there. Someone cut somebody off. They're having a chat at the red light about their differences. Yeah, so I could have just got the card and been finished, but I ended up getting the e-wallet app and installing it and everything like that. But then the reason I'm out now, and I don't have a knapsack with me, I don't have anything with me, which means this is just a very quick errand because, yeah, this thing is happening at my guest house where every time the owner goes home, he turns off the Wi-Fi lately, the last 3 days or so. So I haven't been able to upload any videos because there's no Wi-Fi. But what I'm going to do is another technology adventure, top up my phone with cash, and then I will buy data packages, fast data, so that I can upload videos using my phone when the Wi-Fi disappears. And I haven't done this, I haven't topped up a phone here in Malaysia. Maybe I did it in the past, but I don't remember what was involved, and I have a new SIM card now. So this sort of feels like a whole new experience again. I'm just going to 7-Eleven, and I'm going to go in there and say, I don't know, I'd like to top up my my phone. What do you got? What can you do for me? I don't know the system. I assume I give him money, and he gives me something, like a paper receipt, a special card. I have to input numbers. I don't know how it works, so that's that's what I'm doing first thing in the morning. I have to comment on this. This is new. This is sort of my neighborhood 7-Eleven, and I've never seen this before, where they have order cards. You want a hot cappuccino, or anything else here, all the drinks and snacks, you just grab one of the cards. Huh, very clever. I wonder how that will work long term though, as the cards get worn out, lost, they run out of them. But yeah, somebody was trying something new anyway. I kind of like the idea. From the way I tell stories, it may not seem like it, or maybe it does, I'm not sure, but it feels like things click lately, like good things. I mean, I tell a long story about my adventure getting the Touch and Go card. I mean, to be honest, that was just an ordinary thing. I could have shortened the whole story down to I went to the Touch and Go office, I got the new card, I downloaded the app, and I put money on the card. Of course, it took me like 4 hours to do it, and I turned it into a huge adventure, but everything worked, so can't complain about that. And I got one of the new enhanced Touch and Go cards, which apparently I'm very lucky to get. I still don't know why it's so good, but I have one. And then other little things, like 7-Eleven here is open early in the morning. They make coffee, and they have a new little ordering system there. And my question about, topping up my phone, very easily taken care of. I'm going to put 50 ringgit on the phone. And I'm familiar with this system from Thailand where I just enter a series of numbers, like what do they call those things? The code. I forget the code name right now. Hashtag this, number that, pin code, another hashtag, and it automatically adds the amount to your phone. I might even be able to do it through the app. I haven't checked on the app yet, but maybe there's a streamlined way of doing it on the app. But anyway, that worked out fine. I'm about to do it now. But even better, check this out. In my neighborhood 7-Eleven, tables and little stools. It's not exactly the most beautiful scenic location in the world, but man, if I can sit down and have a coffee at my neighborhood 7-Eleven, got a hot latte here, just came out of their machine in 30 seconds, I'm happy. So let me get to work on this. A lot of beeping, of course, when you're in the 7-Eleven. I've often wondered about that. The doors beep anytime anyone goes in or out. And if someone is standing near the door, the beeping just goes on continuously until the person moves out of the motion detector's range. And, you notice it as a customer. Can you imagine working here all day? I guess you tune it out, but can your brain really tune it out entirely? I mean, it has to have an effect on you after 8 hours or 10 hours, whatever their shift is. Yesterday, I had like the best cup of coffee, I swear, of my entire life at a Starbucks. The coffee was good, a hot latte, but maybe I was just in the mood as well to really appreciate it. Whatever the combination, it was just like, wow, best coffee I've ever had. So this has got a lot to compete with, but it's also a lot cheaper. 25% of the cost of the Starbucks latte. Yeah, it's not, I was gonna say it's not in the same league, but it's not even in the neighboring league. It's many, many leagues down compared to that Starbucks one, but it's okay. Could be a bit hotter. That would be my one. I mean, the flavor is fine for me. I don't need fancy coffee, but I need it to be hot. So let me check my Celcom app and see if there's a way to do it through the app. The app is a bit weird though, because it's called Celcom Life. And, I was about to say that it takes forever to load. I just get a blank window and then I get a little spinning circle that just goes on forever. And I've had to sort of set it aside and just wait. And I come back to it 15 minutes later. It's like, oh, it finally loaded. But it was there, just popped right up. Maybe I never closed it. That's probably why. So, is there anything that I can do here? There's something called Wallet. That's not me. Something called Boost. I guess it's another wallet, a competitor to Touch and Go eWallet. And I have all the eWallets I need in my life right now. Quick links, transaction history, buy add-ons, internet. Okay, all of this is just, you already have to have money in your phone somehow, on your account, and then I can buy all these things. but there's nothing here about topping up your phone. Because yeah, you don't have to use this. Okay, so I just basically have to go to my phone, my dialer. There it is, I found it. I don't think I've ever done that with this phone before. It's a new phone in my life, so here we go. Star, I already lost it. 122 star, PIN number. The receipt is a little bit blurred, the printout. 10, and you wind it up with a hashtag. And now I should see the name of this code that I was trying to remember. USSD code. Yeah, so the USSD code is running. The card you entered does not exist. What card? Okay, let's do that again. I don't think I entered it wrong. USSD code running. The card you entered does not exist. Luckily, the man who helped me here was very chatty. You know, we had a nice long conversation, so I'm hoping he can tell me what I did wrong. I could be misreading the numbers. Like I said, it's blurred. Let's go find out. Can you give me some advice? I've done it twice. I entered the number correctly, I think, but it just keeps telling me the card you entered does not exist.
Yeah.
Well, what did you do differently?
No, just put it the number. This is actually 9951.
Oh, there's another one there.
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't see the. Oh, that's what you were telling me. Oh, okay. Because yeah, the one isn't there. Yeah, you can't see it. Thank you. It's good to talk to the expert because he did it for me and it worked. Recharging succeeded, and the problem is, I was entering 995 because I'm telling you that's all there is on the paper. It says 995, but he knows there's supposed to be 4 digits, not 3, and he guessed it could be a 1. So he says, no, you're supposed to put in 9951, but there is no 1 there. It's just a blank space. But he says, yeah, that's supposed to be a 1 there. So he typed the same number I did, added the 1, and it worked. Okay. All right, now I have to I want to buy some data. So I want to look for a data package. I see a couple of options here. And as I know from previous experience, the longer the validity period of the data, the more expensive it is. So you're looking for the sweet spot, the maximum amount of data that remains valid for the most reasonable amount of time. So if you buy 10 gigabytes of data that is valid for 30 days, that's going to be expensive. So you could get the same 10 gigabytes valid for 7 days, and it'll be much, much cheaper. And they just kind of, I'm sure they have mad scientists in their labs testing these things and designing them just right to maximize, profits on their end. So I think for now I'm going to get the 20 gigabyte plus 6.5 gigabyte hotspot package for 8 ringgit, and then see whether that speeds things up, because maybe I can show you something. This is on my YouTube channel, behind the scenes, and I started uploading a video yesterday, I don't know, 3 o'clock in the afternoon. So it ran all night, like all afternoon, all evening, all night, and it's reached 48%. So it's going to take all day today and probably on into tonight. I mean, it just takes 2 days to upload one video using this slow data. So I'm going to go for the 20 gigabyte and just see whether this suddenly starts uploading faster. But what I'm curious about is I have 2 things running parallel. I've got unlimited for 30 days already, slow data. And now I just bought 20 gigabytes high speed data. I don't know where it is, but I'm also wondering, how does the system know which one to use? Like, will it just automatically use high speed whenever it's available and just use it up till it's gone and then go back to slow speed? I was thinking about this the other day, how much more complicated it is to go to a new country. Because I've been working full time on this, it feels like, and yet nothing I'm doing has anything to do with being a tourist in Malaysia. Like, so now when you arrive in a new country, you have to get a SIM card, and then if you want to do anything a little more advanced than that, of course, and you stay for a little while, you want to get the local pass for, you know, to go through the internet system, the train system, and then you want to buy more data. You have to download the app, and you have to figure all this out. And by the time you go through all this, it feels like, well, now I want to stay in Malaysia for 6 months just to take advantage of my fancy enhanced card, you know? It's like you're doing all this activity, which you would usually only do if you're going to stay somewhere for a long time, you know. But if you're a real roaming tourist, you pop into the country for 7 days and pop out again. You know, a lot of this work, of course, I'm a bit unusual because I like to know how things work. Because I don't see anything listed in terms of high-speed internet. It basically tells me I have 26.5 gigabytes of just for me hotspot. But I didn't want to buy a hotspot, only hotspot. I wanted data plus the hotspot. So that doesn't make a lot of sense to me. Oh, maybe all I bought was hotspot. Because, stick with me here, it says 20 gigabytes plus 6.5 gigabytes hotspot, 3 megabytes per second. So maybe all of it is hotspot. 20 gigabytes is one type of hotspot, and 6.5 gigabytes is hotspot at 3 megabits per second, or megabytes per second, I don't know. So apparently I just bought 26.5 gigabytes worth of hotspot, which is not what I wanted. But it doesn't specify that. I want to buy 20 gigabytes of high-speed data. That's what I thought I was getting. But I think all I got was hotspot. Just two different types of hotspot. The language is not clear here. Very confusing. Let's buy some speed. 1 ringgit to buy 1 day worth of speed. I'll do that. Oh, here's my text message. Your speed add-on, 6 megabytes per second, is activated. Valid for 1 day. So does that turn my unlimited slow data into fast data for 1 day? Yeah, I think I might have to go to Celcom Bluecube just to ask these questions. I really want to know two questions, or 3 questions. 1,000 gigabytes, is that high-speed data? Then the 20 gigabyte plus 6.5 gigabytes, is that all hotspot? Or is some of that regular data? Finally, the speed add-on, does that apply to everything? Even unlimited data that came with my SIM card? Three questions. I think I've figured out a little bit in terms of the upload speed. Everything I just bought is really making no difference at all. It's been a long, long time. Still at 50% for this file. Nothing has changed. So the speed that I bought is having no effect. And all of that data that I bought, 26 gigabytes, all of that, I think, was hotspot. So, and that kind of makes sense because it was so cheap. You know, it was like 8 ringgit. And 8 ringgit for, 20 gigabytes seemed cheap to me. That's why I kind of wanted to do this. I thought, wow, it's not that expensive, and I could just keep buying tons of data and just upload that way, and I don't have to worry about Wi-Fi. But I was roaming around a bit more, and I found an add-on page labeled Internet. And here it actually specifies high speed. Like none of the others said. It just says 1,000 gigabytes or 20 gigabytes, whatever. Or it might say 3 megabytes per second or 6 megabytes per second. But I don't know if that's slow or fast. Is 3 and 6 a slow speed or a fast one? I have no idea. But here it says mix and match high speed 30 gigabyte pass for 30 days, and that's 35 ringgit. So it's 4 or 5 times more expensive than what I bought, and it says in the name high speed. But I still don't trust it because they don't call it high speed. They call it mix and match high speed. So that gives them an out, right? They can just say, wow, we mix and match it, 29 gigabytes is slow and you get 1 gigabyte high speed. We mix and match it. And when you look at the details down at the bottom in the fine print, it says auto renew, yes. And as far as I can tell, there's no way to unclick that. So if you buy that, it automatically renews every month. It just signs you up by default. And then underneath that, there's another category of uncapped speed. Unlimited internet and calls, that would be slow, and then 5 gigabytes uncapped speed. But what the heck is that? High speed, uncapped speed, which is faster. So far we've got unlimited, which is like super slow. Then you've got 3 megabytes per second, 6 megabytes per second, high speed, and uncapped speed. 5 different speeds. But at no point do they really explain what's going on. How fast is uncapped? There's no way it's really uncapped. And how fast is high speed compared to uncapped? Don't know. And mix and match high speed. Why can't they just say high speed? Why do they call it mix and match? And it's interesting from a conceptual point of view because they're basically selling you data. Data going back and forth between you and the internet. So that's the product. But what they've managed to do is figure out a way that they can sell you the packaging of that product, right? So you're buying, they actually have a product called speed. You can buy actual speed. So they have this thing you can get, but then they make it deliberately worse, as slow as possible, and sell you that as unlimited. And then they crank up the speed a little bit, and they sell that to you at a higher rate and crank it up to a higher, So they can actually take their product, package it in different ways, and then charge you different amounts based on how they deliver it to you. And yet they're sort of pretending that that's just the way it is, like as if it's different products. High-speed internet as opposed to low-speed internet. But there's no difference between it. It's still just the internet. What they're doing is basically changing the speed at which they give it to you. And they're completely in charge of that themselves. And I'll bet you they vary it throughout the day. Like even if you have uncapped or high speed or unlimited, if you're getting your uncapped at 11 in the morning, which would be prime time, I'll bet you they deliver it slower, and then they give you the high speed at night. I'm sure they change it all throughout the 24-hour cycle to maximize their profits doing that as well. Continuing with my day, it's about 11:30 now, a bit later than I planned to be doing this, but I'm just heading back to KL Sentral. I have to do a bit of shopping there, some of my food staples and things like that. And while I'm there, I thought I'd drop in at Celcom Bluecube. I thought it was outside of the whole KL Sentral complex, like on the street outside, but it turns out their Bluecube office is inside New Central, where I was yesterday on my giant enhanced TNG touch and go card adventure. So back to New Central. So I was wondering whether Bluecube meant all these offices were inside, tiny blue cubes. Maybe if they're outside on their own, they are. Like maybe that's what the architecture is like. But since this one is inside New Central, it probably looks like just an ordinary shop. And judging by my experience yesterday visiting the touch and go office, it's going to be busy. But we'll see, maybe not. And I just want to ask them a few questions. And my questions feel even more urgent because my little experiment this morning, buying data, like topping up my phone and then buying data packages, didn't really work out. And I'll explain why in a minute. First have to mask up and then get onto the LRT platform. Swish. My brand new touch and go card. Very exciting. And I just missed my train actually, but they come pretty frequently. I saw it coming on the tracks there. That sound you hear is my train departing. So I got a couple of minutes on the track to tell you my tale of woe. The main tale of woe, you already know. I bought a package that I thought was 20 gigabytes high-speed data and 6.5 gigabytes of Hotspot. Turns out the whole thing was Hotspot. So I basically got 26.5 gigabytes of variable speed Hotspot, which wouldn't be so bad, except it's only valid for 7 days. And I don't need 26 gigabytes of Hotspot for 7 days. If it had been valid for the month, that could have been useful for me. So I ended up getting no high-speed data at all. And then I bought 1 ringgit worth of speed just for today. It makes me think I'm some kind of a superhero, like, you know, the Flash is slowing down or something. He needs a burst of speed, so he takes a little pill or something and he gets 1 day worth of super speed. So I bought that. Made no difference at all. The uploading of my video file continued along at a glacial pace. And then, to top it off, I got back to my guest house. At some point, I was doing some other things. I got back in my room, and then Wi-Fi had returned to the guest house. So when I walked in with my phone switched from uploading via the data connection, it switched over to Wi-Fi, which is what it should do. But when it did that, my video upload, which had reached 63% using my data connection, went all the way back down to 0 and started all over again from nothing. So all of the last, I don't know, how long has it been? 20 hours of uploading using my SIM card to get to 63%. As soon as it switched to Wi-Fi, it just deleted it all. And then on the Wi-Fi connection, started re-uploading right from 0% again. So it's back there. Now I switched over to my laptop because I still, you know, have my laptop in my room and I'm leaving it there. And that's another whole problem. That's kind of where this whole problem starts from though, because my MacBook, for whatever reason, just doesn't work with Wi-Fi. So what I have to do with the laptop is hook it up to my phone via Hotspot, hook the phone up to Wi-Fi, and then my MacBook will upload at a reasonable speed. But on its own, connected to Wi-Fi, it's just like a turtle, like glacial. It is so slow. So I just yeah, there's always a bottleneck with this YouTube business, and right now the bottleneck is uploading. I wish I could finish editing and exporting a video and then I just hand it off via DHL or Federal Express and say, you know, put it on a memory card or something and ship it to a place where they upload it for me. You need a separate department just for uploading. It's a full-time job just to upload your videos. But anyway, things did not work out from my little experiment this morning, except of course, I found out that my 7-Eleven has a seating area And I'm nothing if not delighted by seating areas. Makes my day. And this morning I was busy doing various things, you know, editing I'm still editing videos from Penang. That's my main job that I'm working on, and I'm not making much progress there either. Luckily, I've got these newfangled journal videos from Kuala Lumpur to keep me happy while I'm struggling with the Penang videos. And I was also replying to a bunch of YouTube comments this morning. And there was one comment, I forget who it was, left the comment or what country they were from, but they were writing to me because of my experience in Mae Sot on the border with Myanmar, and they said they had a job offer of some kind, but they'd heard all these stories about people being tricked with job offers to come to Thailand, and then they are more or less kidnapped and bundled across the border into Myanmar, and then forced to work there under kind of, you know, prison-like conditions where they're not allowed to leave. And I assume they still get paid. I don't know the full detail of all these stories, but yeah, it's not great. They basically get kidnapped at, I don't know how they do it, knife point, gun point. They trick them and get them into a boat, get them across the river, and then once they're in Myanmar, you know, they can take away their passport, and they're basically their prisoner, and they can't get away. My train is coming. 2 coach or 4 coach? I forgot to look. 4 coach. Excellent. I always wait way down here at the end, and then if it's a 2 coach train, then I have to run all the way there, you know, to get on. But if it's a 4 coach, then I can get on all the way over there. So, looking up at Merdeka 118 as always. And right back where I was yesterday, passing by the KTM station.
Station berikutnya, KL Sentral. Station sambungan ke MRT Laluan Sungai Buloh Kacang.
Look at that busy highway.
KTM MERL. Next station, KL Sentral. Connecting station to MRT Sungai Buloh Kacang Line, KL Monorail Line, KTM and ERL. Station, KL Sentral.
I think somebody in the office bumped into the volume switch on those announcements. They're so loud now. It's like blasting my eardrums. It's too much. Yeah, more these giant apartment buildings here near KL Sentral. I remember so clearly the first time I tried to ride my bike into Kuala Lumpur, and I got so lost on the highway system. That was before I even had a smartphone, and I didn't know about Google Maps. Yeah, that was quite an adventure.
Untuk keselamatan Anda.
And another time, not long after that, I was on my bike down in Klang. I'd returned from Indonesia by boat. I had my bicycle on the boat, and I took the ferry from Sumatra to Malaysia. And then I put my bike on a KTM train because they had a bicycle policy. You could actually take bicycles on the KTM trains at certain times a day on certain trains. Turns out, at first they wouldn't let me because it was meant for like regular bicycles, and I had a big touring bike full of, you know, luggage, and I had a trailer attached to it. And as they explained to me, yeah, okay, we take bicycles, but we don't take whatever it is you have there. That's just too big. But of course, what I could do was detach the trailer. It's a separate from the bike. So I says, okay, now I have a bicycle and a piece of luggage. Now is it acceptable? And they still said no. But then a man came out who had been listening to this whole thing. He was not an official, but he sort of worked for them. And then he waited until the mean people were not looking. And then he sort of says, come on, come on, come on, come on, come on. And he escorted me onto the tracks and then let me roll the bike and my trailer onto the train and says, okay, it's fine, just go. Just go, 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 go. So I took the train all the way here to Kuala Lumpur, or to KL Sentral. And then, in theory, because they have this new bicycle policy, there is a way to go from the train to the outside world with a bicycle. You know, you roll it along and you go to this area and that area. Swoosh. Ah, I love this so much. I love this card. And then you get to an elevator and it's supposed to take you up. But man, did I get lost. Did I have trouble. Just like getting out of this building with my bicycle and my trailer and luggage, finding a way from the train platform up to anywhere where I could find a way to get outside. And then again, without one of the guards, you know, throwing me to the ground and zip tying me, because they're very serious about their security here. Yeah, I had a heck of a time. And then when I got outside, out onto the street, it was extremely difficult to get from here to Chinatown, where my guest house is. I could not, for the life of me, figure out how to ride my bike around these roads, around KL Sentral. And I couldn't find a path out. It was so complicated and so difficult. Hello. I can't help it whenever I walk by one of the security or policemen here, you know, and he sees the camera and you just sort of see the look in their eyes. You're like, yeah, I wish I could tell you you can't do that, but I don't think there's a law against it, but they definitely don't like it. So I'm always saying hello and being very obsequious and, you know, apologizing for my camera with my body language. But yeah, I could not get out of this neighborhood. At that time, I had become a Google Maps guy. I had a smartphone and Google Maps, and I could tell where I was, and I just went around and around and around, and I could not get out of this area. And then if I did find a way out, I just ran into dead ends over and over again. I hadn't figured out the secret yet. And, and I remember that day so clearly because I reached a point where I was on one highway and I could see another highway that looked like it might go across the other highways and get me to Chinatown. But there was a big barrier in between the two roads, and I essentially dismantled my entire bicycle piece by piece by piece and the trailer, and one by one I picked them up and then jumped over the like I ran across the highway to the middle, climbed over the barrier on the other side, and I would dump one bag there and I run across the highway, get the next one. And I just did this relay. And eventually had to pick up the whole bike. You know, it's a very heavy bike. And I got the bike on my shoulder and I'm running across the highway and climbing over the barriers to get to the other highway. Sounds insane, but it was the only way I could figure out how to get anywhere. I was so frustrated by that point. I'd spent so long trying to figure this out and I couldn't do it. Now I know how it's done. So, yeah. What was I talking about? Well, I'm on the first floor, and I think the Bluecube is up on the floor above me. Same place, I assume. I can actually see it. There's Bluecube. Funny thing is, I think I've seen Bluecube outlets before. I just saw the signs for Bluecube. I had no idea it was actually an arm of Celcom, like one of the telecom providers. So yeah, I'll jump in there and turn the camera off before I go in, and I'll take a look at my Celcom app before I walk in and try and get my questions straight in my head. But I hope someone in there has a spare moment to really engage with me. It may not be a situation where I can really talk to anyone and ask questions in a casual sort of manner. But we'll see. All right, here we go. This isn't boding well for my errand. I'm standing right outside Bluecube, and I'm trying to call up my Celcom app, but all I get is a blank screen. That happens all the time. Like I said, this app will not load. It just takes so long to load, and I don't know why. Let's see. I can check to see whether I'm connected to the internet. Yeah, YouTube loaded up. I can even play a video, so I have a data connection, a fast one, fast enough to play YouTube videos, and yet the app itself will not load. I've been waiting because I want to show them things on the app and ask my questions, but how do I get it to load? I've been playing around with this for a while, and sometimes if I click on a different menu, it sometimes triggers it to load. But going to the home screen, going to the add-on screen, yeah, every screen is just completely blank. And I'm standing right outside their office. You'd think if anywhere has a fast Celcom internet connection, it'd be right at their office, right? Okay, well, that worked out better than I could possibly have imagined. When I went in, there were two women at the counter, and they looked quite busy. They were dealing with customers, and I sat down to wait until one of them was free. But as I was sitting there, waiting, a man who was sitting at a desk, he called over to me and says, I can help you. So I spoke with him, and he had all the answers I was looking for. It was a very satisfactory encounter. And let's see if I can run through the answers. One is, it's not my phone, it's not my account, it's not me that's the problem in terms of the app not loading. It says they've had a problem with their system for a couple of weeks now. It's sort of a problem that's baked into the server, into their computer system. So, because actually when I went in there, to talk to him, I wanted to call up the Celcom app so I could have something to show him. Like, I have a question about this plan, this data plan, this speed, this, that. But I couldn't show him anything because the app wouldn't load. And he tried to load it, and it wouldn't work. And he restarted the phone. It wouldn't work. He uninstalled the app, reinstalled it, went into my account online. Their computer has records of everything about me. Checked everything, installed everything cleanly and perfectly. And again, it still would not load. So he took my email address, and he's going to make a report about this and send it up the chain, and I'll get an email from them about what the problem might be. But then as we were going through all this, eventually it did load, but I imagine I'll continue to have problems, loading the app. That's just how it's been since I downloaded it. And he says it's a problem on their end with their computer system. Now, for the rest of it, I had this whole issue with the listing of the packages that I was buying, because I was buying a package that was 20 gigabytes plus 6.5 gigabytes hotspot. And I showed it to him, and he said, well, yeah, that's 20 gigabytes, regular data and 6.5 hotspot. But then when he looked on my account, I have 26 gigabytes of just hotspot. And he went into the system and says, oh yeah, that package is all hotspot. There's no data in that package. So the way it was worded was misleading. And then we went through all the packages after that. And he said, yeah, they're all the same. They shouldn't be worded this way because it's confusing. He also thought that was data. And he says, no, it's not data. Even he was confused, and he works there. And he says, yeah, that's all hotspot. So you bought the wrong package. And I says, well, I can always use hotspot, so don't worry about that. And it was only 8 ringgit. And then I found out about the speeds, which I was curious about, because they do list 3 megabytes per second, then above that 6 megabytes per second, and then there was high speed and uncapped. And he said those two are the same. High speed and uncapped are the same speed. And they just list them different ways. I guess their marketing department did that, but it's the same thing. And he said both of them would be kind of, it depends on where you are, you know, the area where you're located, the connections you have with the towers, buildings that are in the way, you know, depends on the geography of where you physically happen to be. But he said high speed would be something like 20 megabytes per second and up. Can get quite a bit faster than that. He also cleared up my mystery about mix and match, because I was talking about how mix and match might be a clever way for them to sneak in some low speed data, because they can mix and match the speeds, you know, without actually explaining it to you. But that's not what it is. It turns out, he showed me how this works. If you click on the mix and match package from the front screen, you actually get this menu system with sliders on it, and you can choose anything you want. You can basically build your own data plan. So you can, there's a slider for time, you know, you can slide it, you know, from 1 day to 7 days to 30 days. Underneath that is how much data you want. You know, 5 gigabytes, 10 gigabytes, 30, 35, 40. And then you have all these add-ons. So it's basically a place where you can go and just choose everything you want and put it together into your own personalized data plan. And then down at the bottom, every time you add something, it changes the price. And you can see the price go up depending on the things you add. So it makes sense, mix and match. But I just didn't understand how it worked. Finally, and most importantly, for me, everything I was learning, for me, turns out to be completely irrelevant, because all of these speeds, all of these packages, all of the data specifications, everything is only to do with download speeds. Those are not upload speeds. So even if you get high-speed download, it doesn't mean you get high-speed upload. That's a completely different thing, and he didn't even know. He says, well, yeah, we don't do things that way. Like, nobody cares about upload, right? Which makes perfect sense, because we are talking about Planet Doug. And on Planet Doug, everything goes backwards. Everybody in the world is concerned about how quickly you can download, but I don't care about that. I want fast upload, but nobody else wants that. So they don't even have it in their packages. All the speeds that they have there, you know, high speed, uncapped speed, 3 megabytes per second, 6 megabytes per second. That's all download speed. That's got nothing to do with uploading. Uploading is just something. I think there's just one speed for uploading, and that never changes, you know, whatever that speed is. Probably always slow. So there you go. I think those are all of my questions. Oh, and I got a brochure, which is interesting, because the brochure lists all of the plans and all the data stuff in a neat little chart in English and in Malay. Why am I having trouble with that word all of a sudden? Malay language? Anyway, but it's all here, and he basically said to me, like, when you open up the app and you get all these deals on the front, he said, just ignore that. It's just so confusing. And I was like, thank you. You know, yes, it is really confusing. And he says, yeah, all those deals, you know, it's all marketing and stuff, and it's really confusing. So just ignore all the deals on the front page. For me, he said, just go right into the add-ons page, and then just go, you know, in the mix and match, then go right into it, and then you can see the real details. I guess there was one other question which I had, which was that if you buy one of the big packages for, you know, that gives you 40 gigabytes of data, something like that, in the fine print, it says auto renew, yes. And I didn't like that because there was no way, that's the default and you can't change it. So by choosing one of these, for me it's a one-time purchase, but it auto renews automatically and you have no choice in the matter. And he said, you don't have to worry about that because if you don't have any money in your account, like if it costs, 45 ringgit or whatever, and you only have 5 ringgit on your phone, then it just returns an error message, and it just says, oh, insufficient funds, and it won't auto renew as long as you keep your balance low enough that it won't auto renew. So it's kind of weird, but yeah, there it is. And one more thing that I learned, right now, since I bought my SIM card, I have unlimited data for 30 days. And I was curious, okay, if I buy one of these high-speed packages, I go all mix and match and buy one of these things, does it take effect immediately? Or does it conflict with my unlimited plan? My unlimited plan is all slow speed, but is the program smart enough to know that, oh, okay, you have unlimited for 30 days at a slow speed, but now you have 40 gigabytes of high speed, we're gonna default to that right away. Like, we're not gonna wait until the end of the month to switch over to high speed. And he confirmed that. He says, yeah. If you buy something now, it will take effect immediately. It'll use up the 40 gigabytes first, and then if it runs out, then it'll default back to the unlimited, gigabytes of slow speed. Man. So now, how much of my brain is being occupied by learning about all this? That's so crazy. Just hanging out at the big opening in the middle of the mall. I just realized that before, I think I was interrupted. I think just when I got to the Touch and Go shop, I was talking about the comments, YouTube comments, right? I didn't finish that story. I'm gonna take a risk here. I had such an amazing cup of coffee at Starbucks. I'm gonna go back there now, and I think it's very unlikely that I'll repeat this experiment. It's like lightning in a bottle. Like, there's no way I can get a cup of coffee today as good as mine was yesterday. But I'll go there anyway, see what happens. Maybe I will. But the comment I was talking about was from a man who was asking me, because I used to live on the border with Myanmar, and he was asking me, what do I know about the situation of people being kidnapped with fake job offers? Like a fake job offer luring them into Thailand in the Mae Sot area, and then they get forced across the border and held prisoner there and forced to work in call centers and gambling casinos and things like that. He wanted to know if I knew anything about that. And oddly enough, I do know a little bit, because months ago, I don't think I ever told this story, months ago, this was before I even knew about this subject. I'd never seen an article about it. This was all brand new to me. I didn't find out about it until later, but I got a message on Instagram from someone who knew about me being in Mae Sot, and this guy, I think he was from Nigeria, not positive about that, but I think he was. And he said, hi Doug, I'm actually coming to Mae Sot to work. And I've seen some of your videos and I'd love to meet up, yeah, when I get to Mae Sot, I'd love to get together. We can have coffee and, meet up. So I wrote back to him and said, yeah, awesome, great. We were staying in touch, and he was going to come to Mae Sot. We were going to get together, hang out a bit. And then, out of nowhere, I got these really strange messages from him that I didn't understand at all. It was like the writing didn't make any sense to me. So in the end, I really didn't know what it was about, but it was something like, I think I may be in trouble. They're taking me to Myanmar, and I don't know what's happening. And if I contact you, can you please, if you get a message from me, please contact someone and see if you can help me. And then there was a series of pictures of a boat on the river, a little video clip of a boat, and then there was a man walking on a dirt trail ahead of him with his, I guess, his suitcase on his shoulder. And then, oh, and then there was a screenshot of a map, Google Maps sort of screenshot, showing a pin, like his location, where he was at that time. And it was on the Myanmar side of the river. So right along the border, you know, just north of Mae Sot, a place where I rode my scooter all the time. And he was just across the river on the Myanmar side, I guess while he was walking down that dirt road, being escorted somewhere. And the way his message read and everything, I didn't understand it at all. It made no sense to me. He was like, it was almost like he was saying, I changed my plans and I'm going to Myanmar instead. You know, I was going to go to Mae Sot for work, but I don't understand, but I'm going to Myanmar now. And yet there was a little bit of a hint of something bad happening. And he wants to, you know, it could be an emergency and I might have to help him. But I couldn't make any sense out of it. I never met the guy, you know, I didn't know who he was. And I waited for another message from him, and then I never heard back. But then, a couple months later, I'm not sure exactly how much time had passed, I started seeing all these articles online about people being lured to Mae Sot by job offers, and then people would grab them, throw them onto a boat, force them onto a boat, and take them into Myanmar, take away their passport, and then hold them there against their will and make them work. So I guess that's what happened to this guy from Nigeria, the one who had contacted me. So when I read all these articles, I wrote back to him on Instagram, and I says, yeah, I just found out about all this stuff that's going on. Like, are you okay? What's happening? And he wrote back and said, yeah, I'm okay. They did, you know, I was kidnapped, taken across the border against my will into Myanmar. And then he said we had this huge, big adventure, but the American embassy rescued us. So I guess a whole bunch of them were rescued through some operation conducted through the American embassy in Yangon. And I was just like, what? Whoa, like what? And I wrote back to him and said, I'd love to hear the story, like more details, like if you have the time, I'd love to hear more. And he says, yeah, I'll tell you all about it. And then I never heard from him again. So I never did get the details other than what I just told you. So I had that personal connection with someone who was kidnapped and taken forcibly into Myanmar to work and who escaped. So when this guy wrote to me on YouTube and said, do I know anything about this? I said, well, not really. I'm just a tourist, but I do have, this happened to someone I know. So yeah, if you have a job offer in Mae Sot, definitely, it could be real. I don't know, but you know, be a little bit careful. So anyway, I was just thinking about that. I stopped to finish the story right here, just outside of Starbucks. Oh, it's nice and quiet. Not many people in there. I thought it might be really busy today. But I'm gonna go in and get my latte, and we'll see if lightning strikes twice. It worked well for me last time, so I turned myself into Bob once more at Starbucks. Your name, sir? Bob. B-O-B. I like that. Feels hot. And yeah, it's nice and quiet in here. When I first came in, there was a man sitting in this chair. There's like 6 like sofa chairs back here, really comfortable chairs, nice wide armrests. Because a problem with a lot of like comfy chairs is that often you're sitting way back from the table, and then there's nowhere to put your coffee, and you have to lean way forward to get your coffee. But a chair like this is perfect. You get the comfort, and then you get this huge flat armrest, which basically serves as a coffee table. Design. You got to think about these things. Where does Bob put his coffee? What do you think? Could it be as good as my coffee yesterday? Amazing. That is so good. It's so hot. They have the system worked out apparently. I have my new home in Kuala Lumpur. New central Starbucks back here in the corner. They look for me. I'll be here. Yeah, this would be a great place, you know. Electrical outlet down there. Tons of people here have their computers out, you know, and they're busy working away. Yeah, I guess Starbucks is the kind of place where you don't feel weird doing that. There's more than enough seating here. Sit here for a long time, working on your computer. Yeah, my experience here is like a mirror image of yesterday because there was one person in line ahead of me. Just one. Just one. And this woman was trying to pay cashless. She had some kind of an app on her phone and couldn't get it done. I was waiting behind her and waiting and waiting and waiting. Took an incredibly long time, and she eventually gave up. She and the cashier were going back and forth. She's on her phone swiping and clicking on things and doing this and reloading things, and whatever app she was using, whatever she was trying to do, she never got it done. And she just had to leave, you know. She got up and left without her coffee. If she had cash, she could have paid, but apparently she didn't even have cash. I guess that's the problem, being a cashless person in a cashless world. And then I got a good cup of coffee and a good seat. The one thing about this place, I actually looked it up online this morning on Google Maps and just scanned some of the reviews. And a number of them did say that they were a little bit cheap with the air conditioning. They said, yeah, it gets a bit warm in there. And I thought that yesterday. I kind of got a bit hot and sweaty because it wasn't quite cool enough. I don't like places that are Arctic chilled. I don't like air conditioning, you know, cranked up to the maximum. That's terrible. But this place, they could drop it a few degrees. I'm actually feeling a little bit uncomfortably warm sitting here. And speaking of YouTube and people leaving comments and people contacting me, when I stepped out of my guest house this morning to go to 7-Eleven to get the top up for my phone, I just stepped outside the front door, and a man was standing there, and he kind of turned around and said, Doug, how are you? You know, introduced himself, and he was I don't know if he's a subscriber, you know, but he is someone who knows of my videos. He says he's watched my videos on YouTube, and he's from Singapore, and he's here in Kuala Lumpur as part of a holiday. He's retired now, and he travels around all the time, goes to Kuala Lumpur, around Malaysia, Thailand, and he was staying at a hotel right across the road from where I'm staying. It's his favorite place, he said. And because of things I'd said in my videos, he knew where I was staying, and he just happened to be walking by just as I came out the front door, you know, so he kind of looked over, hey, there you are. So we had a nice chat out on the street this morning. And someone else here in Kuala Lumpur reached out to me. I'm really looking forward to this. We're meeting up for something tomorrow, like breakfast, maybe lunch. He's driving into Kuala Lumpur from kind of a satellite town just outside of the big city. And he's going to come pick me up. He just wants to, hang out, have a coffee, have a meal, chat. We'll see what we get up to. And we might just go for a drive around out into the countryside, maybe down to Klang, something like that. And just hang out for a little while. I'm interested to meet him. I asked him if he minded if I brought along a camera, and I kind of narrated the adventure along the way, just casually. He says, yeah, he's fine with that. So that should be interesting. He has some kind of a trucking business, like flatbed trucks, tow trucks, things like that. And then when I heard that about him, we were chatting a bit online, and I commented that in his line of work, he could have a really fascinating YouTube channel, because I love those YouTube channels that are based around what someone does for a living. and they just take a camera with them as they do their job. You know, like if you were, for example, a tow truck driver, and you're out riding around all day towing people's cars. I mean, you would have some amazing adventures. And if you film that, it would be a very popular channel. He said, no, that's not the kind of work he does. He'll explain what his work is, you know, when I see him tomorrow. But, you know, any kind of trucking industry, any trucking business, anything like that would be, great for a YouTube channel, I think. Oh, that is such a great cup of coffee. I'm back on the Celcom app, and I think I can be, it's loaded now, and I think I can be forgiven as well for misunderstanding mix and match. I feel a little bit bad now because I was being so suspicious about everything when I was talking this morning about how all this language is meant to confuse customers and trick them, because mix and match sounded like a way to, kind of trick the customer, because, and I think, as I'm saying, I think I can be forgiven for believing that, because it has here best sellers, and then it says mix and match, and then when you click on it, it says mix and match high speed. I mean, that's all you get. You just get a list of stuff. That's whatever it is, 30 gigabytes, high speed, valid for, 30 days. That's it. So I thought, oh, mix and match, that's all that is. But if you go all the way back to the home page right here, and then you click on mix and match here, then you get this. And this is the true mix and match. So basically at the very top, you choose how long you want your plan to be, 5 days or 30 days. Is there 7 in between? You can only choose between 5 and 30 for some reason. So you say I choose 30. Then down here I choose how much high-speed internet I want. Then I choose how much unlimited, like the speed of my unlimited. And down below, then you click on more and more menus, and you can basically add on things like special Facebook data, Instagram data, YouTube data, phone calls, text messages, and you basically build your own monthly plan. And that's what mix and match is. And that makes perfect sense. And yet, when you go to the other pages, then you click on a mix and match option, it doesn't take you to that page. It just sort of gives you a plan. So it's confusing, what mix and match might be. But as this guy was telling me, the better thing for me to do, considering the way I think, is just ignore all the deals and just go straight to the basic plans, and then mix and match, build your own, that kind of thing. Yeah. So it all, kind of makes sense to me now. Still enjoying my coffee. It's really good. And yesterday, at the end of my journal video yesterday, I hinted about another story I wanted to talk about. I had planned to talk about this yesterday, but I talked so much about my Touch and Go enhanced card that I ran out of time and energy. So I thought I'd do that now. And what I wanted to do was talk about this, which is kind of interesting. This is one of the many things that I had in storage here in Kuala Lumpur. And an odd part of this whole story is that when I was in KL, and just before I went to Myanmar, and just before the pandemic hit, I spent a bunch of money on new gear, because a lot of my cycling equipment, camping equipment, a lot of it had just worn out completely, and my bike was falling apart. The wheels, spokes were breaking, rims were breaking. I mean, it was a bit of a mess. So I sat down and kind of overhauled my whole bicycle touring world. New wheels. I had new wheels custom built in Thailand at a very special shop in Thailand, in Bangkok, and they shipped the wheels to me here. So I got these brand new wheels that I hope they're still in good condition. And I also ordered new pannier bags, which is what this is. This is one of my pannier bags. And a pannier bag is essentially a bag that has hooks on it. So here on this side, it's a little bit complicated because I've modified this one extensively. So a lot of this is unusual. But basically you can see up here at the top, there's a hook and a hook here. And these two hooks fit over top of a metal rack on your bicycle. So it's like a suitcase, but a suitcase that clips to your bicycle. And a standard touring rig would have, 4 of these bags. 2 big ones on the rear wheel and then 2 small ones on the front. And this one obviously is quite large. It's one of the largest ones you can buy. And it's designed to go on the rear wheel, on a rack on the rear of the bike. It is warm in here, I have to say. There's a lot to talk about when it comes to pannier bags, bicycle equipment, and something like this, and different choices you can make. But basically, there are 2 major decisions to make about what kind of bags suit you. For example, there are fully waterproof bags. There's a company called Ortlieb from Germany. They're probably the most popular pannier bag maker in the world. Seems like every cyclist you see is going to have an Ortlieb bag. And the big advantage of Ortlieb bags is that it is essentially one giant pocket with a roll top that you can seal, and it's 100% waterproof. So it's like a big bag. You open up the top and put things in it, seal it, and then you leave it there, and you don't have to worry about it at all. It can be pouring down rain and nothing is going to get wet. So that's one route you can go. The other route is a bag like this one, which is more of an ordinary bag. It's not fully waterproof, but there's a lot about it that I'll explain. It is made up of a whole bunch of different pockets and compartments. Not surprisingly, that's the kind of bag that I like. And this bag from Arkel, it's a Canadian company named Arkel, they make the most advanced, the most sophisticated pannier bags in the world. I don't think there's anything on the planet that is like this. Whether it's good or not, that's up to your personal taste. For me, I love them. They're just amazing. They're kind of legendary in terms of their design, and I love their design philosophy, because what they did, which is so different from almost every other company in the world, is they didn't design the bag first. What they did was they brought together all the items that if you're bike touring, what would you bring with you? And they made a list and put in a pile the things you would bring with you. Like you would bring along a stove, cook stove. You'd bring along a fuel bottle for your stove. You'd bring along pots and pans to cook with. You'd bring along maps, paper maps. This was designed kind of pre-internet and pre-smartphones, actually. It's got a very storied history. So they were thinking about, where do you put your maps? You're also going to bring a sleeping bag. Where does you're also going to bring like one of those roll-up sleeping mats, that you go camping with, and it's a long tube, so that you're going to bring that. You're going to bring a toiletries kit. You're going to bring a tool kit. And they basically listed all the things that you're probably going to bring with you, and then they designed a bag with a pocket specifically designed for each one of those items. So you see how the design philosophy is flipped on its head, which I really like. So for example, this pocket over here on this side is outside the main compartment, zips open fully, and this would be for your fuel bottle, because you wouldn't want to take your fuel bottle full of gasoline and put it inside, with your clothing, for example. You want it in a pocket on the outside. And for example, they designed their zippers with this smiley, they call it a smiley pattern. It opens and closes in a curve, which opens the entire thing up. So a big round bottle can go in, and then the zipper closes around it in a circle. So all the pockets open wide for full access. And yeah, I could just go on. I'm not going to go over the entire bag, but every single pocket here, inside and out, was designed specifically to contain an item that a cyclist would bring with them. Of course, you don't have to do that. You know, you can use all these various pockets. Like there's one here, for example. You know, here on the front, you can put whatever you want in there. And then this one is designed to come off. Like this is a removable pocket and has a waist belt strap on it. So you can put really like your passport or, I don't know, something you want to carry around with you can go in there, and then you can peel it off and wrap it around your body like a little fanny pack, you know, and bring it with you, which I never do, but it's something that you can do. So that's the philosophy behind this kind of bag as opposed to the waterproof bags. And this one is designed also to be waterproof though, but in a different way. It has, on the inside, it has a liner on the inside, and then all of your clothing, anything you want to keep dry, goes into this interior compartment, which is 100% waterproof. And then they have a rain cover that you can put all the way on the outside, which is less convenient than an Ortlieb, you know, which is fully waterproof all by itself. So it's just kind of up to you what you prefer. So that's the one thing, fully waterproof versus a bag with lots of pockets. That's one decision to make. And the other one is sort of top loading or front loading. The Ortlieb bags are all top loading. So basically it's like a plastic bag. You know, you open the top and then you dump everything in from the top. And you just basically stack everything on top of each other and just fill it up from the bottom to the top, and then you seal the top. So it's a top loading bag. And that can be very, very good because it's so efficient. You just naturally use up the full volume of the bag, because as you put things in, you're basically just stuffing things in. And as you ride, you know, it kind of bounces and everything settles, and you can just put so much in the bag very efficiently. So that's top loading. A bag like this is front loading. So the top doesn't open, the front opens like a suitcase. So, you know, you open up the zipper and the whole front falls away like that. And then you have access to the entire interior, and then it's front loading, pretty much like a suitcase. So if it was lying down flat, you know, exactly like a suitcase. And that can be good and bad, depending on your lifestyle and your packing style and your traveling style. It suits me. I really like the front loading style as opposed to top loading. But, you know, both systems can work depending on you. But yeah, this is a front loading. So you can kind of, you know, stack everything up in here, and then you open the front, and it's like you're looking into a closet, and all your stuff is here. You know, I don't have much in it right now. I just have my camera bag and my GoPro grip. Yeah, that goes in there, and that folds up. But that's not really what I wanted to talk about. What I wanted to talk about is what makes this bag special is how I customized it. Because a major problem with bicycle touring is that you're sort of stuck on the bike, right? You are, you know, all your luggage is made up of these special bags that clip to your bike. And now you arrive in Kuala Lumpur, you go to your hotel, you might, you know, probably bring your bike inside your room. Now you want to go out into the city, but what do you bring with you? Because now you don't have a knapsack, you don't have a backpack, right? You don't have a convenient bag to walk around the city in, because your bags are designed to go on a bicycle. And historically, companies have tried to design bags that do both. They basically take like a knapsack design and turn the knapsack into a bicycle bag, into a pannier bag. So you can carry it on your back like a knapsack, and then you can take it off and then hook it onto your bike. So it's supposed to do both. But every design I've ever seen has been terrible. They just don't work. There's just so much wrong with them because the design, for me, it was just horrible. So none of the ones made by other companies are suitable for me. So what I've always done, it's another reason why I like this particular bag, is I converted it into my own knapsack. And that's what all this is. So what I did is down here at the bottom, I drilled holes into the base and put in some bolts, washers and bolts in the bottom with a ring, one on each side, you know, like a knapsack. And then Arkel has a very special high-tech mounting system, but I removed it. So I removed the new mounting system completely, and I installed a very simple old-fashioned system with these two hooks here, two hooks, and then this, which clips to hold it into place. But along with that, I put in these little hooks at the very top. So having a hook at the top and one at the bottom, I basically turned it into my own knapsack, as you can see. And it's not perfect by any means, but it's something that works really, really well for me. And yeah, it was quite a project when I ordered these bags to replace my old ones, because Arkel had done a lot of redesigning from the old bags to the new ones, and I wasn't sure whether my technique would work or not. And but it turned out to work out quite well. And so basically, these unhook. So I basically unhook them, put them inside the pocket, clip this onto the bike, and then when I get off the bike, I just take out the straps, you know, click them into place, and now it's become a knapsack again. So it converts back and forth very simply from a knapsack to a pannier bag. So anyway, I just wanted to point that out, just in case you saw me on video wandering around with this strange green bag on my back or holding it by the handle. There's like, what the heck is that? And like, where did it come from? This is the Arkel GT54, if you wanted to look it up. GT stands for Grand Touring. So these are the GT, the Grand Touring 54-liter bicycle pannier bags for touring. That's what this is. But, all right, time to go. Time to get out of the coffee shop. I'm actually a little bit hot and uncomfortable right now. Coffee was good, atmosphere was great, but yeah, a little bit warm. Time to get out of here. And there you go. The view out the front of the train heading to Pasar Seni.
Next station, Pasar Seni. Untuk keselamatan Anda, sila gunakan pelengkap pada setiap masa. For your safety,
I always like the way that it curves around like this, kind of an S shape. Side view, the Petronas Towers, KL Tower, Ardika 118, Maybank Building, and we're arriving at Pasar Seni Station right here. And there's the full map of the MRT system again, or Rapid KL, I guess. Yeah, I guess this would be Rapid KL because the whole system is bigger than just the MRT. And maybe when you put it all together, they call the whole system Rapid KL. Man, look at that. There is a QR code if you wanted to download this map onto your phone. Just scan that code and it should bring you to a website where you can download the whole map like this, a digital copy. And in fact, I'm going to do that right now. Let's see what happens. Oop. So it's amazing how quickly that occurs. I feel like I have to bring my phone really close to the QR code, but before I even start moving, it's already found it from far away. So open in browser, what do I get? Yeah, taking video of your phone, you end up with this weird flashing pattern. All right, there it is. It downloaded automatically, which I wasn't expecting. I thought it would bring me to a place where I could, so I guess you have to open it and say, oh, there you go. Yeah, beautiful little map of the whole system. And I assume I can zoom in and out on that, which is kind of handy. I'll just save that on my phone and keep it for reference. Nice, 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 nice. And I worked out something else with my brand new Touch and Go card. I tried to put it on an inside, like an interior pocket close to the edge of my wallet. So I never had to take the card out, but it wouldn't work. But then I realized there's actually a slit pocket on the absolute outside edge of my wallet. So I put the card inside here, and there's pretty much nothing between the card and the outside world except one thin piece of material. So let's see if that works now, and then I never have to take the card out. Now it's swoosh. And let's see if it works. There you go. Nice. So now I never have to take the card out of my wallet. I don't know how clearly you can see it. There's my pannier bag converted into a knapsack. And it was absolute fluke, like a pure coincidence, just pure chance that when I attached the straps, it just happened to sit on my back perfectly so that it holds, like all those hooks. There's a lot of aluminum hooks and sharp metal bits on the back of this thing. And for whatever reason, I didn't design it that way or plan it that way, but just the way it sits on my shoulders and my back, it's just angled perfectly so that the bag rests against my back and my waist, but all those metal bits are held away from my back. Like I don't feel them. They're up here at the top, but they're curved away from my shoulders. So it's actually, it's like very rare that I often modify things. I do that all the time. I buy something and it doesn't quite work for me. I got to modify it and customize it. And it often never quite comes together, but I put these straps on here and yeah, it's like I didn't really have to do much work at all in terms of specializing it. I just did it and drilled the holes, put in the bolts, and then it was like, oh, that's kind of comfortable. So that worked out quite well. Back at my home. So I'm still trying to upload my last video file. Let's see how far it's come along since I left.